I'm in the most desperate moment of I'm shaking with every ounce of block body. I can't even bring myself to cry. I look up fearfully with a stiff face. In front of me is the divorce papers signed by my ex-husband, with a wry smile on his face, insulting me and my parents.
I knew I deserved a woman who was high educated and classy. At least not a woman who inherited parents' genes from a middle school. You're useless. You're nothing but trash to me. You're a high school graduate with a middle school graduate father who works for a company I've never heard of and an unemployed mother with no job. I'm not gonna support this family hard-earned money.
My husband's attitude changed as Sock got married. He only thinks of me as an outlet for his stress, but I still believed in him. Taking care of the house was all he could do for her. But one word from me led to the end relationship. It must have been humiliating for him to be confronted by me, high school graduate, no matter what. How did this happen? All I wanted was to make a happy fall. In spite of my apologies, I knew that the husband I loved was gone. Anger, sadness, helplessness. I was still in tears, unable to shake off my feelings. At that moment, I knew nothing about anything. I didn't know what would happen to my pathetic husband. Who could only judge people by their educational backgrounds? My name is Kara. My dream has always been to be a Moat. From an early age, I looked up to my mother. I wanted to get married as soon as have children and become the ideal. In the morning, I would wake up my and children who slept late. I would prepare a delicious breakfast for them and make sure they had plenty of coffee. I soak up the happiness of watching, see them off with a smile. I would clean the house, prepare snacks for the kids, and think about what to have for dinner. When my husband comes home, we all bath and eat dinner together, kissing the kids goodnight and going to bed every night so they don't get scared. This is the kind of life I dreamed of. I talked about this with all the boy I've ever had, if I ever got married future. They all said it was too much for them, so they dumped me. That's understandable. I guess they thought I was naive, that they couldn't be that responsible. But I never gave up on my dream. I was always honest with them. Then I met Evan at a party I happened to be attending by chance.
Kara, I think your dream is awesome. I'm the type of guy who wants my wife to focus on housework when I get married. I would be so happy if I had a love like you, Kara, waiting for me at home.
I felt like I was destined to be with a man who smiled at me like that. Soon we started dating. I found him to be a very fun and but there were some things that made a little obsessive. One time when I served him a meal at my house.
Maybe a little too many carbs. I like to eat more protein, Put that in mind next time, okay?
And one day when we were walking together, acid bumps into him and the kid apologizes.
Hey, did you play in the sandbox? It's a little dirty. Don't worry, kid. I won't ask you to bring your parents over. But some adults can be terrifying. You better watch out. Got it?
I felt like my husband was being a bit mean when he said it, but I thought he was nice, kind, and reliable. I decided to marry him after 6 months of knowing him. My father had an unconvincing look on his face. My mother agreed, saying that if it would make her happy. My husband's parents accepted me as we got married and became a couple. I quit my job and spent every day doing housework. Every day, I was living my dream. I accepted all his criticism of my housework as great advice for our marriage. However, I began to think in a more critical mind that maybe love is blind, or perhaps it was a little too soon to marry him.
Kara, I'm home. I'm exhausted. My business partner is constantly complaining to me, which is really pissing me off. When I complained about it, my junior colleague said it was my fault too. Jerk.
I see. It must have been tough. Thou working every day. Please tell me anything you want. I listen, you know.
No, you don't know anything about having a job, do you? Oh, my bad. You've been in the business longer than me. You started working after graduating from high school.
There he goes again. Ever since we got married, my husband has always made fun of me for having a high school diploma. My parents had prepared me for my CC education, but I wanted to return the favor to my parents. By working hard and becoming an independent member of society, my husband graduated from a well-known university with high standards. He has been bragging about his high ever since we started dating. He was also very proud of the big CC was working for. Working for a prestigious company is something you can't do without hard work. I respected him for that. That's why I married him. And when we were dating, he didn't mean that much. My husband must be under a lot of...
Well, since you're a stay-at-home mom, I can teach you what it's like to work in a company.
With that, my husband blurted out his complaints. In short, he said that his superiors had put him in charge of his clients' investments, and he had made mistakes. And he didn't like the fact that the all younger than him.
They've got a lot of nerve taking shots at me.
My husband's only been with the com 3 years, so he's not that much them. That's what I thought as I listened.
Hey, are you listening to me? I'm trying to talk to you, even though tired. Can't you even make conversation pleasant?
I'm listening. I'm sorry. But they're almost the same age. I just thought that we could improve as a team, you know?
What? Why are you giving me an opinion?
That's not what I meant.
You should be thankful that I married you, even though you only graduated from high school. Don't you know how to respect your...
I regretted that I said anything to... Whenever I say something, he verbally attacks me. As you can imagine, I'm getting a one. Tired of it. My father's face suddenly flashed through my mind. My husband grimaced and said something even more unforgivable.
Well, a middle school graduate like your father can only produce such a foolish daughter. Isn't he about to retire, isn't he? Do small businesses offer retirement benefits? I can't see myself living a life of people with just a little money. Well, don't worry. Mine is a big con getting a big retirement bonus.
Enough. You can make fun of me all. I know you're under a lot of stress. Don't make it on me.
I never get angry no matter what he me, but when he said that about lost my temper, I couldn't allow him to insult my Faye had worked so hard for the family. I said what I wanted to say and ran the house with my cell phone. The word divorce crossed my mind, but the crisp winter air cleared my anger-driven mind a little. I wanted to hear my father's voice, so I tried to call him, but I was afraid that I might worry. I walked around in a daze, worrying. I found myself a long way from home. We've only been married for a few months. The fight we had today is just a blip in our long future. Something much worse could happen. I can't marry anyone if I'm thinking getting divorced over something like... When I arrived home, my husband was asleep. Tomorrow is his day off, so I'll make all the meals he likes. And I would apologize. With that thought, I also went to S. In the morning, my husband woke up with a grumpy look on his face. He didn't mention what had happened yesterday, but I guess he was still feeling awkward. As I was making lunch, thinking about how I should apologize again, he came home.
Hi, honey. I'm sorry I was so rude yesterday.
Whatever. Sit down. We need to talk.
Then, he quickly put a piece of paper of me.
What? Isn't this?
Yes, I recognize it. It's a divine petition. Yesterday, it became clear to me that I don't match.
I felt a chill, as if all the blood had drained out of me. Had I been so hard on my husband that he wanted a divorce? I couldn't say anything, so I kept he opened his mouth.
I've been thinking about it. You left yesterday. I knew that a high school graduate, a middle school graduate, or even parents who owned a small business were no match for the power of the government. I married you because you're kind. I thought you'd be at my beck and call, but I didn't realize you're such a useful man.
I tried to talk, but I couldn't speak. I should gotten down on my knees, him to forgive me. I shouldn't have said anything back. As if to push me away, my husband.
Well, I'm sure there are more intelligent, refined women out there who are more suitable for me. Don't worry about me. I'll remarry. You will have a hard time now that I'm no longer your breadwinner. You're a high school graduate with an unemployed mother who is also a middle school graduate. I don't want to have to support a bottom-feeding family like this with the money I earn.
My husband smirked and fluttered the papers in front of me.
You should look up divorce procedure internet. You could at least do that, right? Oh, I'll give you the house. It's in my name anyway. Bye.
With that, he left with his belongings, probably already packed. My head is all messed up. I don't know what to do anymore. All I wanted was to get married, have children, and live happily ever after. I just wanted my father to see his grandchildren. I don't know how I got into this mess. I looked at the untouched meal I had prepared for my husband and cried out loud. I felt so hopeless. If I could go back to yesterday's would. I should have smiled and listened to I always do. I clutched the divorce papers and long time. After all, my husband didn't come home. After a few days, when I felt a little better, I started to look into divorce proceedings. I went back to my parents' house for being. While I was in a daze, my cell phone rang.
Oh, Kara, can I meet your father? I'd like to talk to him. I didn't know that the company he's so famous.
I knew it, he called. I was just thinking over the past few days that my ex-husband must be in a lot of trouble right now. The company my father works for is a long-established, locally owned, public utility company that's pretty well known in the area. It just so happened that my father friend from work were talking about divorce. I had mentioned my ex-husband's behavior towards me as a topic of conversation. Sure enough, my father's friends who were close to us were offended. They even contacted me out of concern. The rumors continued to spread, and to my surprise, they even reached the company where my ex-husband worked. It was affecting my ex-husband's position at the company. I heard that he was trying to make guy about this divorce. But when the board members heard and confronted him, he relented and the truth. My ex-husband was even considered for disciplinary action by the company. I was sure he would come crying to me, but I didn't care about my ex-husband anymore. I was more impressed by my father's ability to build relationships with integrity. I had a newfound respect for him. My father was the one who was most actually.
So, I'm in trouble. Do you understand? Your husband, the man you love so much, trouble. If your father would just talk to me, we'll all be over. And then we'll be together again. And if you want, you can bring your life with us, We'll make it as good as it was. You want me with you, don't you? No one's going to take you, a high school graduate and an unemployed woman, seriously anyway.
What? What are you talking about? Firstly, we are divorced. We are strangers. Wouldn't it be great if you lose? You don't have to make any mistakes and won't point them out. You're not going to be under any stress, are you? And I do have a job, I'm doing well. Thanks very much. I don't have to care about your stupid educational background, and I won't be made fun of anymore. I am very content every day. I mean, why don't you rely on the person you are cheating on me with? I'm not the one you should rely on.
The day my ex-husband confronted me about divorce and left me. After I had cried a lot, it occurred to me that I was not alone. He left me so easily. It was a woman's intuition, some kind of gut feeling. I wondered if there was a possibility that he was cheating on me. I immediately hired a private detective to investigate the matter. Soon after, they found a lot of evidence that he had been cheating on me. I decided to divorce him. I prepared everything I could to get everything I could.
Anyway, I know all about it. I'm going to file a claim for alimony on behalf of you and your partner. Moreover, if you're going to ask for, you should have a way of asking for. Well, I guess you're the type of pair can't do that. I don't want to be with someone like that. It's a waste of my time. Why did I hang on to this guy? If I could go back in time, I'd like myself for letting you deceive me once.
What the hell, Kara? Who do you think you are? It's all your father's fault for being a middle school graduate. Don't talk to me like that. Don't underestimate me. Prepare your...
With that, he hung up. That night, my ex-husband visited my house. My ex-husband started cursing at me and making a scene. My mother called the police and listened to the recording I had made. When my ex-husband called me earlier that day, my mother told me to record it. That was immediately reported to my ex-husband's company, and he was dismissed from his job. When I asked for alimony, my ex-husband came to my parents' house and went on a rampage. He was taken to the police station for vandalism and was eventually charged. He won't be able to get out for a while. After a while, I bought an apartment with the money that had been paid to me. My parents took advantage of the opportunity to rent an apartment in a nice building. Retirement benefits are just a system. Not a few companies don't offer it. My mother, not knowing what the future would bring, started building assets early. When she came to realize it, it was a considerable amount of assets. I think it's foolish to assume that don't have money just because of the educational background.
Even if your father retires, it won it all. We have plenty of savings.
My mother said with a big smile on. Not only did my father, but also my mother, inspire me. What wonderful parents I have been blessed with. It is fact that my marriage was a fake. If you ask me if it was all a mistake, I wouldn't say so. I learned a life lesson. I can't even think about marriage but if I meet a wonderful person, son, hope to make a wonderful couple like father and mother.